everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I am your host, Randi-lee. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking to Jim Christina. Welcome, Jim. So excited to have you on the show.
Oh, wonderful to be here, Randy.
All right, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Let's see. I am a child of an Air Force family. We moved around a lot when I was a kid. Spent 4 years in the Philippines and a whole bunch of time and just everywhere. Born in actually in Michigan, raised in Del Mar, California. I went to college and while I was in the Army and started writing at a very early age, probably when I was I'd say 8th and 9th grade. So probably 13, 14.
Me too.
Short story. Yeah, short stories. And we used to have a short story club. And then the mothers in the club, the mothers of the people in the club, once a month they would get a bunch of short stories from us and they would grade them, as it were, or whether they liked them or didn't like them. And I don't remember much about that. I don't think I was drinking at the time, but probably pretty close.
I like your sense of humor.
And no, thanks. But I had this character growing up around my head for a long, long, long time. And I think probably because the character that I was thinking of was not of the Louis L'Amour type of character. He wasn't 6 feet tall and wide shouldered, narrow hipped, square jaw, never went to the bathroom, always clean. Even if he got into a fight, his hat never came off, stuff like that. I wanted him to be real. And so I came up with this character. His name is the Hunter, or his name actually is Taggart Richmond. But everybody calls him a hunter because he's a manhunter in the 1880s in Arizona. He will hunt. He will not. The only thing he won't hunt for is bounty. He will not do bounty, but he'll find anyone else for you for whatever reason you want to find them. And that spiraled into like 12 books. Whoa. Of him, and then adding a protege, a young protege, and then he eventually got his own 1 or 2 books, and so far we're up to 15, 2 standalone novels and 15 books with the Hunter and stuff. Yeah, so
very cool.
Yeah, and then I wrote one with my business partner. We also have a little publishing company, Black Dog Publishing in Tuscany Bay. Books is our brand, is our brand, and Richard Polinelli and I actually wrote a book together, a Western called The Last Lonely Trail. And I had never done that before, and it was kind of interesting to make everything mesh. I don't know if you've ever written anything with someone else.
I have not yet.
I'll tell you what, it's an experience. If you could do it, man, do it, because you learn so much. Yeah. You learn actually how close writing styles are when you really get into the story. Okay. Cool. We managed to finish the book, and the reviews that we got were they couldn't even tell that there was a seam. Wow. So that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Which is actually available now in audiobook for those of you who are listening and like audiobooks. Last Lonely Trail is available.
I love audiobooks.
I do too, but I don't get a chance to listen to them. I have to read a book a week. And for our show, and our show is the Writer's Block. It's on LA Talk Radio every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we talk to all kinds of writers and musicians and poets and screenwriters and playwrights, and I mean anyone who writes or has got anything to do with the recorded, the written word. We'll talk to them, have them on the show.
That's very cool. Yeah, I love listening to audiobooks because I have to take my dogs for a walk every morning.
There you go.
Perfect.
I have to get my dog up in the morning. So, I mean, I have a golden retriever. Yeah, I don't know if you know about golden retrievers, but they're very lazy dogs.
I have a black lab, so very similar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally.
And he is,
totally.
He's lazy.
Yeah. So, but that's pretty much, and then last year, the name of your show is Write or Die. And last year I did a little bit of both. I was in the hospital from May 17th through the end of August.
Oh, wow.
And I had, I had died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. And
From even though what?
I had Oh wow! I had blood infection. I had pneumonia. I had well, which brought on heart problems, which brought on other problems, which brought on other problems, and
Wow.
yeah. I spent until mid-August in the hospital, and then they transferred me to a rehab facility, and I spent a couple, 2, 3 weeks in there. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So getting back into the writing is a little tough once
Yeah.
you've been away for that long, and so right now I'm in the middle of writing 2 books.
Oh,
So once I decided to jump back in, I'm jumped back in. One of
perfect.
them actually is an extension and of Last Lonely Trail. It takes one of the characters and puts him back into Texas where he came from, and he's a Texas Ranger, and it's his story now of going after a very nefarious young man who is he's not a very nice guy. And well, Texas was full of them, so
Yeah, this is true.
Texas was so wide open that they couldn't keep nooses on anybody. They just like it's just like go get this guy, and while you're at it, these 3 over here, you know.
Just give you a laundry list of them.
Yeah, I don't know. My very favorite book that I've written, however, is called Jefferson's Chance. Also, it takes place in Texas. A standalone book. It's about a young man who loses his leg to a snake bite when he was 10 years old. The book actually starts with the doctor amputating his lower right leg,
Ooh.
and his mother
Okay.
standing there and deciding whether to let him die or take his leg. And
Okay.
they didn't know how much of the poison had gotten into his system. And the doctor said, well, if you wait another minute, you're not going to have a choice.
Yeah.
So she says, take the leg. So he grows up with a wooden appendage, and he wants to be a Texas Ranger like his father. And he couldn't be. They won't let him because he doesn't have 2 good legs.
Mm.
So he complains at this tavern when he's like 23 years old in this saloon downtown Austin, and he complains to the guy that comes over to his table and says, he says, I could build you a leg. I can design a leg that will act just like a real leg. And he says, you can? He goes, yeah. I said, well, who are you? He says, well, my name is Thomas Griffith. I designed the Waco suspension bridge, and we built that in 1870. So I think we can build you a leg that'll work. And so they do. And he builds this leg that works on springs, and Jefferson gets it and straps it on. And within a month, he's walking around like he's never lost a leg at all.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, so he becomes a Texas Ranger finally. And they said
Yay.
they sent him on a fool's errand, which turned out not to be a fool's errand. And the 2 guys they're going to catch, he runs into this other ex-Texas Ranger named Caleb Stringfield, and Caleb is looking for the same 2 guys that he's looking for. So they team up, and when they find him, they've been attacked by these rampaging Comanches, and they're just going to leave him there and say, okay, fine, our job is done. Until one guy, just before he dies, tells them they've got 2 children, 2 white children. Well, now the Texas Ranger Creed says they can't leave them. They have to go get them. So now we have one Texas Ranger, one ex-Texas Ranger going after however many Comanches there were at the time, 15, 20. And that's where the story really gets fun.
All right. Well, everybody will have to check that out.
Yeah, it's called The Jefferson's Chance. Great book. Great book. It's available in let's see, available ebook, paperback, and hardback.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love that. So now we're going to get into the heart of the show.
Okay.
And talk about some mental health stuff. So
okay, go ahead, ask away.
Well, first you got to tell us what it is that you have dealt with.
Well, I've dealt with depression. I have dealt with anger, a lot of anger issues from being down for so long. I still deal with anger issues because I still have to deal with some of the stuff. I'm still on supplemental oxygen, which you can.
Oh, okay.
And they tell me that it's either going to be years or forever, and that just makes me angry. And it's really hard to come back from that kind of debilitating illness and not be angry and not have your psyche almost totally plucked from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
it's very hard.
yeah. Let's start with the depression.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about what it means to you.
Well, for me personally, I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't even want to pet my dog.
Oh,
I
that's
just,
bad.
yeah, I pretty much stayed in my room and just with the blinds closed and in the dark, and had the TV on the whole time, but it didn't watch anything. It was that kind of just constant thinking, constant thinking, constant thinking. And it just, you don't think about anything relative or good. You think
Yeah.
about how crappy things are.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to dig yourself out of that hole. So
So
that's
how did you dig yourself out of that hole?
1 foot at a time. Um, my show was being run by co-hosts. I wasn't going to allow that to happen much longer. Um, it's I wanted to get started on some writing, which also is depressing because I couldn't write. Um, and it just 1 inch at a time. You slowly, the daylight starts seeping in, and some people not. Fortunately for me, it did, and it became easier and easier every day. I started getting up and wandering around, and when you have to drag around an oxygen hose with you, it makes you angrier still because you're constantly tripping over it, and your dog gets wrapped up in it, and
Oh
you
yeah, I
know.
didn't even think of that. My dogs would totally be all wrapped up
Oh
in
yeah,
it.
mine is too. She's just totally all over it all the time.
Yeah.
And my wife's constantly picking it up and moving it, which tangles it. And so, I just like, you get up and you try to do what you can do. You try to talk to people, other writers and other people and my brother went through a bout of depression. So I talked to him and it's just, I think if you're going to come out, you can only be a little bit at a time. Nobody recovers waking up going, oh, I feel wonderful. And, it's
Yeah.
sky is blue, sun is shining, flowers are blooming. And, no, it doesn't happen that way. But I never took anything for it.
Okay.
You know,
So what kind of coping strategies do you use?
I have to remind myself that it's okay to be angry. I have to remind myself that it's okay not to have everything that I want. It's okay to be on oxygen because it's not going to be forever, at least in my mind. I'm not going
Yeah.
to let it be forever. It's okay to take a break from writing. It's okay to do all of those things, which when you're deep in depression, it's not. It's not okay to
Yeah.
do any of them. So I'm constantly reminding myself not to get angry at stupid shit. Well, pardon my French or my
I
Italian,
get
as it
it.
were. Merda. Um, yeah, pardon me, merda. There, how's that? Better?
Much better.
Uh, um, it's really hard to remind yourself that you are a person that has got value, as
Yeah.
opposed to someone who has no value any longer. Yeah, I saw your
Exactly.
sign. I saw your sign. I, I used to have it is what it is on my wall, and I figured out that isn't necessarily true. So that
Yeah.
came down.
Yes, yeah. I love my little inspirational
Yeah.
messages. So
Yeah.
for those of you who are listening and not watching the show, my sign says you are important.
Right. Right. And years ago, I dated a psychologist, family health person, and she teaches you. I mean, it's hard to get back into that mode of taking care of yourself. Because I think when you're so down in depression, you forget how to take care of yourself.
Yes.
I mean, golly, my hair got down to about past my shoulders. Maybe a shower a week if I'm real lucky, and you just don't want to do anything. You just want to lay there
Yeah. Even the
and veg.
basic necessities are just too hard.
It started in the hospital. When I found that because I was in the hospital for so long, my motor skills just went away. I had to relearn how to walk.
Oh, wow.
Because you lay there for so long that, how, you just don't have the strength to.
Yeah.
And so you have to relearn all of that again. And then you got people in here telling you, you have visiting nurses and all these other people and PT people. And, it's just like, go away. I don't want to see you. I don't want you in my face,
Yep.
and so it's digging yourself out takes a while.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm done yet, but I think I'm pretty close.
I always say that it's an everyday battle. You get up in the morning and you have to decide, am I getting up or am I staying down?
Yep. Yep. And once you make that first step out of the bed, you're committed. And I always did that.
Exactly.
I always did that. I said, okay, if you get a foot on the floor, you're committed. You got to get up.
Yep.
So I would sometimes argue with myself about why it's not a good idea to put the foot in the floor.
Yeah.
People who are depressed know this.
Mm-hmm.
This it's you don't want to do anything. You look at my office right now is a total disaster area, only because I've got so much stuff going on right at the moment. But you look at stuff and you go, I don't even want to deal with this, and you just walk out and leave it.
Yep.
And it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yes, exactly. It's like the laundry that you just don't wash, and it just piles up and piles up and piles up, and you're just like, I'll go buy some new clothes instead.
Oh, I don't even do that. I hate to shop.
So let's talk about the anger now. So I like how you were saying that you had to tell yourself it's okay to be angry, because
yes,
it is. We are emotional creatures.
Yes, we are.
And when we try to stop ourselves from feeling whatever emotion it happens to be, whether it's anger or sadness or happiness, whatever it is, it doesn't work.
Right.
We are emotional creatures. We need to be able to feel it. Now, with that being said, there's a difference between feeling it and sitting and stewing in it, and feeling it, dealing with it, and moving on.
Right. So well, it's like when you're around people that are not, they're not clued in as to what's going on, and and things they will say, or inadvertently because they don't know. It's a flash anger, and you have to tell yourself, oh, stop. Yeah. It's okay. They have their thoughts and they have their opinions and they have what they want to do, and it doesn't include or mean it's you.
Yeah.
And I think, once you understand that most of your anger is at yourself and not someone else.
Yep.
It's easier, not easy. It's never easy, but it's easier to start backtracking out of it.
Yeah.
I think.
That's a great point. I also I want to mention that a lot of times, and this is just some people that I know, and this has been kind of a big topic around me lately, is that people are angry about things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be angry or upset about things that happened in the past. But if you stay that way, it's not healthy, because you can't change what's already happened. That's what I've been saying a lot lately, is we can't change what's already happened. All we can do is change how we deal with it now. Right. And so that's important for people to realize too.
Right. Well, I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was in Vietnam for 2.5 years, and I was infantryman. Actually, I carried a radio.
Okay.
I get very angry with people. Actually, you know what makes me angrier than anything right now?
What?
Thank you for your service. I hate that. And you know why I hate it? Because nobody could see their way clear to say it when we came home. In 1970 and 1971, I went to Vietnam in 1969. So when I came home in December 71, nobody said, thank you for your service. Nobody even gave a damn. They would turn a corner to get away from you.
Really?
Really. And now it's like, thank you for your service. It's like the big catchphrase. And, most people don't mean it. And I feel like sometimes telling, why don't you just don't even say it, because you don't mean it.
Yeah.
And then I see commercials for the Wounded Warrior Project on TV, and that makes me angrier than hell, because part of the promise when you get drafted, back when I got drafted, or when you join the Army, is that if you get injured or hurt, the VA will take care of you.
Mm.
So why are people having to give money to take care of wounded soldiers when the VA should be doing it? We're doing the government's job for them on our dime, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right, and it gets my ire up. So I immediately change the channel if I'm watching TV and see that commercial come on. I hate that
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah.
And I know, I personally know the gentleman who does those commercials. So,
Okay, then. Tell him to just
and
stop.
I think it's Trace Adkins, and I think, Trace, why are you doing this? You're better than this, But I was a musician for a number of years before and after the military. I was a musician, and I think a lot of the anger stems from the fact that it took away my desire to play music. It took away my desire to play guitar and write music. And I used to be a prolific songwriter, and I couldn't tell you a melody right now if it came up and hit me in the teeth.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I couldn't either, but I've never been able to. So.
Well, not everybody is, and that's okay. That's your deal.
Yeah.
You can write a book. You write a book. If you write poetry, write poetry. If you're gonna write a song, which is nothing more actually than poetry put to music most of the time.
It's true.
Yeah. I did a book on stuff that I had written from 1967 to 1983, and it's called "That's All You Get." And in it, the opening comments in it is that poetry or music songs are nothing more than let's see, that music could be changed. Music nothing but notes and chords and bars, which can remain constant, but the words are always what's going to stay forever. The words will always stay forever, and music, because music and lyrics are nothing more than musical poetry in most cases. They will always be there. They'll never go away.
That's true. Yeah.
So anyway,
maybe one day I'll write a song.
Well, maybe not. Who cares? It's not. It's if you're not going to, then you're not going to.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. But it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I'm okay with being who I am again.
That is so important.
Again. But it took me from September to now. I'm still working on it. Yep.
So before I ask this question, actually, okay. I wanted to make a point that I really loved how you said, when that commercial comes on, I have to change the channel. It's important to understand, if we do have triggers, what those triggers are.
Right.
And if they can be avoided, like the simplicity of changing a channel, then do that. If they can't be avoided, then at least you know what it is to try and work through it.
Right.
So that's just another important thing that people should understand.
Right. Well, there was a day when if somebody said something that was ridiculous, and you watch TV now, and just about everything that's on the news channels is ridiculous, that I would just say, "Hey, what are you, out of your mind? What are you, nuts? How can you believe that crap?" Yeah. But now I just go, that's you. I mean, you're going to believe what you're going to believe, and nobody can change your mind. So
you do you.
Yeah, you do you, I'll do me, and maybe the twain will meet, maybe it won't. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. That was my catchphrase last week. You do you.
I'm not looking for another friend, so.
Yep, we're good.
If one happens, it happens.
Exactly. So now back to what I was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
When you talk about being okay with who you are again, what kind of lessons did you have to learn in order to get there?
Patience.
Well, that's a good one.
That's a big one. Understanding, patience, and the realization that not everybody is you.
Oh, that's a really good one.
And once you figure that out, I think everything else kind of falls into line. I think, see, since 1971, when I came home, I came home from Vietnam and I went right into Army flight school. So I,
Oh,
I mean, I didn't get away from it for a lot of years. I was in the military until 1977.
okay. Wow.
But you come out and all of a sudden, I was this, and I went from being a radio telephone operator in Vietnam to a helicopter pilot. And once you leave there, then you're back to being nothing again, and kind of in your brain.
Yeah.
And so you have to rebuild yourself as something that is okay with you being. And I worked for my dad for a lot of years, and I got pretty comfortable. And then I started writing a lot of music, and I got to a point where I liked myself a lot because I was able to say things that um, I was able to write in music what I couldn't say out loud.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing, or an indifferent thing, but
It just
for me it
is.
worked. For me it worked.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so once I got to there, I was okay, and then I don't. I did slowly. I think over the years, little bit by little bit by little bit, you start losing that. If and my band broke up, and I started doing a solo, and I just quit doing that because it wasn't as fun.
Yeah.
And then I stopped writing music, and I stopped playing music, and getting back into it again, or trying to at least.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I mean, I was to the point where I gave away my stage baby. I actually my recording. I had two guitars. I had a recording guitar and I had a stage guitar.
Oh, okay.
And my recording guitar went to a friend of mine who still has it, and it's an Ovation guitar. It's just a really piece of crap guitar, but boy, it sounds really good on recording.
All right. I'll believe you.
But my stage guitar was a really nice electric acoustic, and before we moved to Idaho, I think in 2019, I gave it to a friend of mine who was kind of looking for a good guitar and couldn't afford one, and I actually virtually gave it to him and said, "Here, take care of this baby for me."
Aw,
And
that's kind of
he-
sweet.
yeah, and he plays it all the time. I get texts from him and emails, and he goes, "Oh my God, I just picked up your baby, and just she plays so sweet now." And
Aw, I like
yeah,
that.
so yeah, me too. But it took a long time to come. I think I wrote a song once called "Life Moves in Cycles Like a Wheel." Let's see, not that's a different song. Life moves in cycles, and I forgot the rest of it, but it does. I think your life does move in cycles.
Hmm. I
Um,
agree.
I even think with spouses, your life moves in cycles with spouses. And when you're young, you're with a woman who you're meant to have babies with. And then when you're middle aged, you're with another woman who you're not going to have babies with. It's time to have fun. And then when you're older, you're with the woman that you're going to be with that you get old with. And for some people, it's the same person. And for a lot of people, it's not. And
Hmm.
I just think because it depends on what your life and what you've done with your life and how you've lived your life as to where you are when you get, well, my age, and I'm 71. So
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed.
yeah,
There you go.
I never thought I'd live past 50, to be honest. And here I am, 21 years past.
Really? Why not 50?
Well, I don't know. It's just like, it was a blessing coming home from Vietnam without really bad wounds,
That's
you know,
true.
so, a couple bullet holes, but not bad ones. And um, I guess it's just like for the time I was living in the glory of not being hurt real bad, you know, I lived through
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, I did a poem called Air Assault, and the last line is the way we lived and fought and died was something new to me, but I learned real fast in B-19 of the U.S. Cavalry.
All
So
right.
you learn quick how
Yeah,
to
yeah.
survive. How to survive, yeah. But you can't use that your whole life. I mean, I used to say, well, it used to be never let it come down to you or him, always make it him. Then I told a friend of mine about 4 or 5 years ago that I used to live by that credo up until about 6 months ago because I never let anyone get over the top of me. You just don't.
Yeah.
Then it became not so important anymore, and I lost that too. So that's
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. Life
I
life
don't.
changes. We got to change with it.
Yeah, I don't need that anymore. So
Yeah.
I don't use it anymore.
What would you tell somebody who's listening right now and they don't want to get up out their bed?
If you move your foot and it gets near the floor, you got that decision to make. If it hits the floor, you get up. Don't
I
have to
like
do anything, just got to get up.
one
You
step
know,
at a time, right?
one foot in front of the other, one step at a time. Yep, that's exactly what I would tell them.
Perfect.
Nobody can help you out of it but you. You're the biggest person in your life to get you out of your depression.
Yeah.
I think most psychiatrists and psychologists are depressed anyways. Just don't listen to them. They don't know. Oh, you're probably one, and I'm just making a total ass out of myself. But
Yeah, whatever. You do you,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I do me. And no, I mean, I have the greatest respect for people who work with brains. You know, I went for a while. It was rewarding to a degree,
Yeah.
but not so much now. You take what you learn through life. I think mostly, if I'm sitting here and somebody's in front of me and saying I'm depressed, I don't want to get out of bed, then don't get out of bed. You know, but once that foot hits the floor, you got to get up. That's the decision. That's the rule. Make the rule. Make the rule and stick to the rule.
Yeah.
If you sit up, the foot hits the floor. If you get up and go to the bathroom, stay up for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't have to be out and glad handing with the neighbors, but stay up for 5 or 10 minutes, then go back to bed. Eventually it will get longer and you'll start feeling a little bit better about being around,
Yeah.
I guess.
I
So,
like that. It's small increments. They can
yep.
build upon each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So where can people get a hold of your books?
They can find them on Amazon, on any online bookseller, Barnes and Noble, any of the big booksellers are available. They're available through my website, which is jimchristina.net. They're available from blackdogpublishing.co. They're also available from TuscanyBayBooks.com.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And where can people follow you?
They can find me on Facebook under Jim Christina. I'm there. Under the Writer's Block Radio Show on Facebook. There's, let me see. I don't really do a lot of social media. I don't believe in a lot of social media.
But there's a couple.
It's too easy to get spend all day.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And if they really want to get a hold of me, they can get a hold of my publicist, Mickey Mickelson at Creative Edge, and he can hook you up with me.
Yeah. He's a pretty cool guy.
Mickey's a good guy. In fact, he's got some news coming with him and us, and so that's probably this week. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. We're pretty excited, but our publishing company, we're just now getting real busy, so we're looking at submissions, but it's taken a while. So
yeah, very cool. So all of those links, they will be down in the description below, so you can get a hold of Jim's books. Make it nice and easy for everybody. Just click and you can get it.
Yep.
All right. So thank you, Jim, so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Randy, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That was a great episode. Thank you again, Jim, for being on the show. And of course, the links to follow Jim and find his books are down in the description below. If you would like to support the show, we do have a Patreon page where you can head on over. Sometimes we have some behind the scenes guest talks, and as well, I'll put on some extra little writing that I have done. As well, of course, we do have our merch store, so we do have a few different designs there. Depending which design you choose, it'll either go back to the Canadian Mental Health Association or Addiction Services. So as always, thank you so much. Hit that like and subscribe button. Share these videos out. This is an important topic that we are talking about. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye.